Once upon a time, in a biological system far, far away, there was a fatty acid named palmitic acid. Pal for short. He was 16 carbons long and in the prime of his life. Like most fatty acids his carbon number, Pal acid was in high school and had fallen in love with an upperclassman fatty acid named sterica acid. She was 2 carbons longer than he and had a higher melting point, but he loved her anyway. One day, while at school, their teacher, Miss Nirvanic Acid, announced that there would be a formal molecule meltdown dance held at 24N-6 arachidonic drop. Paul was very excited. This would be his chance to finally ask Sterica out. So, during lunchtime, Paul had finally mustered up the courage to go over and ask Sterica to dance. Just as Paul was walking over to Sterica's table, Hector Hans Oscar, otherwise known as H2O, appeared out of nowhere. H2O and Paul were polar opposites and had never gotten along. H2O always found ways to make life energetically uncomfortable for Paul. In kindergarten, H2O and his gang of polar buddies surrounded Paul and trapped him on a piece of playground equipment the entire recess. You would think Paul asking Sterica out would not be a big deal for H2O, since they were not compatible at all. But no! H2O had a major crush on Sterica, and as you can imagine, H2O especially would not want Paul dating her out of all molecules. Paul was not in the mood to interact with H2O, so he did not ask Sterica to the dance. After school, Paul went home. His brother, palmitoleic acid, Leo for short, could tell that something was bothering Paul. "What's wrong, Paul?" "Oh, it's nothing, Leo. I just have this huge crush on this girl named Sterica. Every time I see her, my body gets closer to its transition temperature. And just when I was walking over to ask her to the molecule meltdown, H2O saw me and got in the way like he always does." "Well, Paul, if you see Sterica at the dance tonight, I think you should still ask her to the dance. Don't let H2O get in your way. We both know he is not her type anyways." Paul and Leo drove to the dance and picked up Leo's girlfriend, linoleic acid, Linda for short, on the way. When they walked in, Paul saw Sterica. The sight of her caused many of his single bonds to freely rotate. He could feel his body temperature beginning to rise above his TM. Paul finally built up the courage to ask Sterica to dance, but on his way over to talk to her, H2O hopped in again and tried to prevent them from meeting. However, Leo saw this happening, and he and Linda marched over to help. With their combined hydrophobicity, they were able to permanently repel H2O. After H2O was gone for good, Paul finally asked Sterica to dance. She said she would love to. "I would love to!" And they danced the rest of the night. As saturated fatty acids, they packed tightly together and lived happily ever after. The end.